Is one of the biggest concerns for workers. Government says it can't afford increases given the poor state of the economy, but unions, of course, disagreeing. Let's find out how true that is. We're joined by Director and Chief Economist at Econometrix, Azar Jammine. I'm so happy you're here because everything is just failing us in terms of technology, Azar. So government says it doesn't have money. You, of course, look at the economy. Are they telling us the full truth?
Right now, government doesn't have the money. I think what COSATU are protesting about is why doesn't it have the money? And it's because quite a few of the people within government have managed to siphon off a hell of a lot of the money that the government could have had into their own pockets.
So workers would argue that because of the corruption which you speak about, they're in this position and they are feeling the brunt of this corruption. So government needs to rework things so that they benefit because they're doing their jobs. They're not stealing. Can that actually be done, though?
Well, it's a major challenge that we've got. We are now paying the price and seeing the effects of more than a decade's worth of state capture and corruption. You've got no idea how much money has been siphoned off. Essentially, the form of corruption is just a premium being paid on everything that the government has actually had to spend on. And that premium has been siphoned off into the pockets of a few well-connected individuals. And now there just isn't the money to pay the ordinary public servants. Having said that, it was government's policy back from the global financial crisis to try and extricate the South African economy by government employing more and more people to actually do the work that was required. And they paid public servants bigger and bigger increases, especially at middle and higher income levels. And this is what the workers are complaining about, is that the middle and upper management of government have been doing very well for themselves, and the workers have not benefited commensurately.
Yeah. So you have trade union federations telling workers to stay away for the next couple of months on certain days. That, of course, has an impact on the economy as well.
Of course it has an impact on the economy, but to be fair, if it's expected, people can plan for it, and the impact can be mitigated to a large extent. The damage on the economy is when these outages, I'm thinking of the parallel with load shedding, are unplanned and suddenly hit one, and without any planning, then the impact on the economy can be very, very negative.
Yeah. Do you reckon government can divert some of the money being used to deal with COVID-19 at all to try to address the issue of salaries, especially when it comes to frontline workers? Or is that irresponsible? Well,
many would say that that would be irresponsible. The fact is, and I have some sympathy with the workers, they had a 3-year wage agreement, and now the government has reneged on the final year because of the dilemma that it's facing. But the reality is that there isn't enough money, and one of these days the government won't be able to pay salaries at all if we carry on this way, or it will have to start just printing the money, and we'll end up with hyperinflation and a Zimbabwe-type situation. And neither is really the... Yeah. And it's all as a result of a decade-long... many of us have been talking about it. The workers themselves have been talking about it. Corruption is costing the economy very, very bad.
That's caught up with us. That's exactly what it's done. What about borrowing more money? We can't afford to do that either.
Well, we are. That's exactly how we're surviving at the moment. The government is having to borrow. Last year, it borrowed something like 300 billion rand. This year, it's going to borrow nearly 800 billion rand. That's an extra 500 billion. And on that, it has to pay interest. And the more interest it pays, the less money is still available to pay public servants. So it's a vicious circle that you end up with.
Thank you so much for your insights. Appreciate it. That was economist Azar Jammine. Well,